how to go from imposter to expert, where you are right now with the knowledge you have right now by just changing your mindset. That's what I'm going to be explaining in this video. So first of all, we need to understand what is an imposter versus what is an expert. And we can eventually bridge that gap. We're not going to bridge the gap yet. I'm going to show you exactly what we need to do first before we bridge that gap. So make sure you stay to the end to figure out that bridge that was so close. So we need to define what an imposter is first of all.
That man's an imposter. That man is the imposter.
Imposter is someone who thinks they are a fraud, who feels like they are not doing the right thing. Now, a real imposter is someone who is actually doing the wrong thing, but imposter syndrome, that's why I've put imposter, is someone who thinks they're doing the wrong thing. Whereas an expert thinks and knows, doesn't even think, just knows that they are doing the right thing, that they are qualified, that they have the ability to give you something. For example, a teacher can teach their kids because they know what they are teaching. Versus me trying to teach someone about crypto, I just know that I can invest. I don't really know the ins and outs of it, so I wouldn't dive into that yet. Maybe in the future, I don't know, probably not, but I'm no expert. But I'm not saying that I'm an expert, so that doesn't make me an imposter. I'm just someone who's playing around with it. But if you are an imposter, or you have imposter syndrome, you're not an imposter for starters, I want you to go and watch this video up here explaining imposter syndrome. And I do explain this exactly in there. But if you feel like an imposter, you care about what you do. If you run a business and you want to help people, then it shows your empathy to want to help them. You want to be the expert, but your subconscious mind does not agree with you as an expert right now. So yes, the subconscious programming is needed to go from imposter to expert. And it's a very, very, very simple process, and I can show you exactly how to do this by bridging this gap. Step number one. And this is going to be the easiest step above them all. This is the one that I first started with when I didn't understand this work, but that is just practice. Practice is a very, very, very important step. Now, you can say you understand something, but until you practice it, until you actually give something that is relevant to someone, then you are essentially a liar, which I suppose does make you an imposter. But if you practice enough, eventually you're going to get better. When I first learned to ride motorbikes, I would come last every race. And just before I broke my back, I had my best ever race, which was second. And the overall out of the whole day, out of 3 races, I came second overall. So from going last, not really knowing what I was talking about, not really knowing what I was doing, but I didn't claim to say that I was the expert. I was just someone who just gave it a go. I was enjoying it. I was having fun. And not to say that I was the expert, because I still wasn't, I never was, but I got better moving across this bridge. And let's say I got to about here, but then I broke my back, then I came back, then I broke my shoulder, then my dad took my motorbike, so I couldn't actually ride anymore. So yes, that's a story for another day, but this is really what it comes down to, is I was on the bridge to becoming the expert. And in order to become an expert, it does take time. Now, you can't just snap your ability to be the best version of yourself in an instant, or to be a better mathematician, to be the best CEO of a company, to be the best professional football player, to be the best coach or therapist.
Damn, I'm good! Can you...
What you are doing when you practice is you're giving yourself steps over the bridge. So if you want to step over that bridge, you need to actively step. Move one foot in front of the other and start stepping. Now, when I first started in the coaching industry, I wasn't sure what I could provide to people. So that's why when I first started, I did a year for free. And you'll hear me talk about this a lot in some of my other videos that I'm specifically talking about imposter syndrome or not feeling good enough and things like that. I didn't know if I could provide a service, so I didn't class myself as an expert. Whereas now I know I can help people with anxiety, I can help people with imposter syndrome, and I can help people with trauma. That's why I class myself as an expert. Yes, there may be better people out there than me, but I'm the best person for someone watching this video who is an entrepreneur that has imposter syndrome, has childhood trauma, or has anxiety. I know I can help you because I've done it before and I can do it again. It's replicatable. Yeah, I think that's the word I'm looking for. So we've got 2 types of practice. We've got mental and physical. Physical practice is getting up off your ass and actually going to do this and putting one foot in front of the other. Whereas mental practice is visualizing creative guided imagery, mental rehearsal over that bridge. Now, there's been studies that have been done where there was 3 groups of people, all told about a basketball to shoot free throws. 3-pointer. And the first group of people were told to not think about it, not do anything, not go anywhere near or think about basketball. The second group of people were told to actually practice the basketball shot for about an hour to 2 hours a day, every day for 30 days. And the third group of people were told to just visualize, mentally rehearse. And obviously they're in a relaxed state of mind, getting into hypnosis or meditation. If you want to understand hypnosis, click up here. And once they did that, the results were incredible. The group who didn't do anything got on average 0% better. The group that physically did it on average got about 24% better. And the group who mentally rehearsed it got on average 23% better. 1% less by just mentally doing it. So imagine what can happen if you mentally do it and physically do it. Your progress is going to skyrocket, literally. And maybe rather than walking over the bridge, you're going to sprint. You're getting over that bridge, whatever it takes. And then the most important part about being an expert is someone who gets results. If you know that you can get results that is, again, replicatable, then you know you're an expert in that field. You know you can do that. And that's why I know I can help people release trauma, because I've done it multiple times. I've done it with many different people from different walks of life. So it's not just a specific person. It can be done with males, females, younger, older. There's no specific type of person. Some people won't be as receptive to it, and some people it may take a little bit longer. But I know it's replicatable because I've done it enough times. And just like how they prove how something is proven by science, if it can be repeated and done over and over again, then it's classed as science, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that is how they go into things with science and how they make something a legitimate scientific term. Or they make something like a law. So for example, like the law of gravity, if something does it again and again, then it's going to have a knock-on effect that's going to happen every single time you drop an apple. It's going to hit the floor, for example. It won't just start floating. So my recommendation to you is, if you are a coach, you are a therapist, and you are trying to better yourself, your service, your ability, then yes, do the mental rehearsal, but yes, do the physical rehearsal, but also learn and grow every day. If you want to get better, consume more knowledge, and it can go in here, out there, in here, out there, in here, out there. And this is what will allow you to go from imposter to expert in a very short period of time. Now, what is the actual difference between the imposter and the expert? It's not a specific time period. This timeline here is not really legit. It doesn't take 7 years to get from there to there. It doesn't. It doesn't take 1 year. It doesn't take 2 years. What it takes is how long you are willing to put the effort in. If you put it all in at a short period of time, but you go all in, then you're going to get the result faster. For example, when I first learned about hypnosis, the first hypnosis course I ever took, I completed that within a month. So that could have taken me a year. So time is kind of relevant, but the only thing that's stopping you from being here to here is a piece of information. So what is this piece of information that the expert knows that the imposter doesn't, the imposter syndrome doesn't? This can take a shorter period of time if you're willing to go all in with this, and you can do it very, very, very quickly. So the answer is, how do I get from here to here? First, you need to know who has done this. Name someone in your industry that has done this. Are you a professional footballer? Are you a CEO? Are you a coach? Are you a therapist? Okay, perfect. Whatever industry you're in, you need to find someone to model. Because if someone's got results with repeatable and replicatable tasks, then you can model what they've done to get the same result. So then you ask yourself, what result is it that I want to get? I want to be a well-renowned coach focusing on anxiety, let's say. Who is someone that you can model that works solely with anxiety? Who is the expert in the field? Now, there's not necessarily going to be one that's better than another, because it's down to perception and down to based on who you want to go with as a client or as a customer. So that is going to be slightly different. But who is someone you can model that has the outcome that you want? Then you can literally go back in their life and say, what have they done? They've got this qualification, they've got this. And I sat down with a mentor of mine once and we were speaking about this. And I went home and he told me to do some homework and do some research. And he was saying, who is it you admire? Now figure out their background and what they've done. So some of them did go to university and get a degree. That's not what I wanted to do. But there was one that stood out to me that didn't get a degree at university, that didn't get any fancy qualifications, but has helped has helped physically a lot more people in his lifetime versus a lot of the others that did get a degree. So I said to myself, why do I need to go and get a degree in order to help people with the outcomes that they want to get? So then I looked even deeper. NLP, that is something that I can work with, because NLP is something that can give me an umbrella to say, what is it I want to do? What is it I prefer to do? And then this led me to doing hypnotherapy. So it was like a compound effect of going from here, which led me to hypnotherapy. But I would never have got there if I didn't have someone to model. So I've just made it a little bit clearer. So I modeled the expert in blank topic, the expert that gets blank outcome. Now, obviously, from time to time, we're going to change. We're going to adapt our model of doing things. We're going to change our business model. We may be going to change, even if we're in the Olympics, our sport that we're going to do. And that is possible. Just like Michael Jordan. He went to go and play baseball, but then came back to basketball because that was where he most thrived. We don't know if we don't try. He could have been the best baseball player in the world. He happened to not be. He happened to be much better at basketball. So he went back to where his element was, where he thrives the most. And this is trial and error. There's going to be things that I'm probably going to do that I'm not doing right now, and I may be stopping what I'm doing. I don't know. But what I do know is my path is always unfolding, and I'm doing the best that I can to help as many people I can. As long as I can get the result of helping more people, that's all I personally care about. Whether that is doing hypnotherapy, NLP, standing on my head doing a handstand while talking, I don't care what it is. As long as I get the result that I want to get with other people, which is helping more people. But we need to obviously niche in and understand how we want to do that as well. So that end outcome is important, but obviously that's for another video. So once you've understood the expert, once you've understood the result you want to get, then it's saying, how long do I want to spend to get to be the expert? As I said, that doesn't have to take 5 years. It doesn't have to take 1 year. Because if you learn very quickly, you can become an expert in 6 months. And there is the old thing of like, you put your 10,000 hours in and eventually you'll have your breakthrough. And I do agree with that, because it does come down to practice. And it was Bruce Lee, I believe, who said, I don't fear the man who does 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who's done one kick 10,000 times, because you've put the practice in. So yes, experience does always come and help you and give you more improvement and help you faster to help more people, because you've had actual experience. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't get started today. So yes, there's going to be people who have more experience than me, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't learn and try to help more people, because otherwise I'm going to constantly stay at this level. The person who is the expert now was once here. Whether they felt like an imposter, whether they even knew it or they didn't, they were once in this position. They allowed themselves to slowly but surely walk over the bridge. The beauty today is we have information at the tips of our fingers, literally. I can say, hey Siri, how many thoughts do we think a day?
Okay, I found this on the web for how many thoughts do we think of Guy. Check it out.
Oh, technology is getting better, clearly. Technology will get better one day, but how many thoughts do we think a day?
Okay, I found this on the web for how many thoughts do we think a day. Check it out.
And here we've got an article that comes up that says 12,000 to 60,000. From neuroscientists, I've heard between 60 to 80,000. So obviously that's dependent on the person, dependent on that. I would personally listen to the scientists that I listen to. So I would say between 60 to 80,000. But we can find that 60,000 literally in the fingertips, with our fingertips, by just saying something, by just literally saying a name, then asking a question. So we have information at the tips of our fingers. So then that goes to say, in an age of information, being ignorant is a choice. If you don't know how to do something, you are watching a video learning how to do something. This was never possible years and years and years ago. It wasn't a thing. But now you can literally watch a video from going to imposter to expert. You can understand the process, and you can take the reputable, or you can take the adequate action in order to cross the bridge to go to exactly where you want to be. So as I said, going back to basics, what it really comes down to is practice, mental and physical. So remembering, sitting down, getting yourself into a meditative or hypnotic trance, and practicing what it would be like. Actually going out and practicing what it would be like. Start getting results for people. Do what I did. If you're first starting out and you don't have you're not sure, just do it for free. That's how I started. That's how I always recommend people to start. But once you start getting results, start getting what you're worth for that. Then finding someone who you can model, modeling them, and then realizing, how fast do I want to do this? Do I want to put my 10,000 hours in, hey Siri, how many hours are in a year?
Year is 8,765.82 hours.
Okay, so do you want to put your 10,000 hours in just over 2 years, just over 1 year, sorry, about a year and a half, or, which would be every hour of the day, obviously, so possibly that's not actually possible, or physically that's not actually possible, but we don't have to necessarily be 10,000 hours, or do you want to do that over 10 years? That's down to how much effort you're willing to put in. The more effort you put in, the faster you're going to walk over that bridge. Just like if someone's walking over a bridge like this, versus someone who is literally walking over that bridge with purpose, or they're running over that bridge. Who's going to get to the other side faster? That's down to the effort that you put into it. The more meditations you do, the more enlightened you're going to be. The more hours you put in business, the further ahead you're going to be in business. The more pages you write of a book every day, the faster you're going to have that book finished. That's down to your inputs. And if you want to understand anything to do with inputs, make sure you watch this video here. And that will really explain your inputs and your mindset in order to give you an abundant mindset. And with that being said, make sure you go from imposter to expert in whatever time period you desire. Just put the work in and do what you need to do. But have an absolutely amazing day. Keep spreading love, kindness, and so much positivity. Yeah.